Alright guys, Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far with the $50,000 K-Sun Showdown concluding. OpTic have given their reaction to an absolutely epic tournament. Well, in some ways, it was very long indeed, and OpTic were not so happy with going all the way down to the wire in a crazy grand finals, which was so delayed compared to when they were meant to run it, that maybe it changed the outcome of the tournament to some degree. But the new Los Angeles Thieves roster, technically undefeated in a LAN environment. Scrappy continues his dominance of the offseason so far. Nadeshot's buzzing about it, understandably, but is this a Mickey Mouse tournament compared to when the real season gets underway? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. First of all, there's also been this $1,000 Challengers Cup that's been going down. Basically, Ronnie's been involved in running that, and interestingly enough, a good team on paper, that's aBeZy, Flames, Dak and Fire, end up placing top 24 in the tournament. So as I was going to say, it's early days here in the title, but it is at least worth noting that there are some notable names not necessarily having the best time. This is the Champs Sunday with the final 6 teams with these respective rosters. We are also expecting reasonably soon some further confirmation as to what the jerseys are going to look like for the upcoming season because, well, the reason why Thieves did this content, maybe not the only reason, but one of the reasons why they did, as Josh says in the replies, Dill tried to leak the jersey. So we'll see if that's coming soon. Because, of course, they had a nice jersey on for this tourney, but it was a 100T jersey rather than what they're probably going to be wearing officially for the Los Angeles Thieves next season. Now, this whole tournament, this 50k thing, did remind many of, well, what CS Summit used to be. They used to run these tournaments. They'd basically hire like a house pretty much and have all the teams come there for a weekend, play the matches on LAN through various rooms in the house, and then, you know, all the boys would be there together, and it was a great environment, superb content, and this is just a screenshot for an example of that back in the day. This is, what was this guy's name again? Adren here on the left-hand side, that's probably Dozier, right? This seems to be the Gambit team from back in the day, and this is like the OpTic team when Tarek and Mixwell are over there. This is Rush. Wow, good times. But anyway, the theory is you could run this for COD as well, something similar to what we've done here with these recent tournaments, bringing together like, you know, 4 teams, running a tournament over a few days, but in this kind of more laid-back environment. And also it cuts down a lot on costs, right? Because, you know, instead of renting a whole venue and production team, you still have to do the production stuff obviously, but you rent a house basically for a few days, and maybe it can make it work a little bit better in some areas. So, you know, it would be fun to see. I like this idea from Austin. I know lots of people are excited to maybe make something like that happen in the future as well. Let's talk about game modes, because Control was not played over the last couple of days. And many were buzzing that Control was not played over the last couple of days. We know that Hardpoint and Search are the 2 best game modes, realistically. We don't really know what Control will be played on yet. The pros don't seem so keen quite as of yet to find out, until, I guess, the CDL officially confirmed the map pool and the game modes and all that type of stuff. So, like, Prop Hunt's not going to come in, but there, of course, has been talk about the alternatives. This is what I thought was quite interesting here from Slasher, because he's not wrong. This game is fast. You spawn in, you run, you die, you do it again. That helps certain players and teams, you could argue. It does not help other players and teams, you could also argue. Now, does the game play well right now? I don't mind a fast-paced game, but I do understand that on maps like Vault, you can die, spawn up right next to where you were, and, you know, just because the way the spawns work with just the setup in general that Treyarch have this game designed as right now, which is far from optimal, I'm not going to lie, the game does play really fast, and Slasher's perspective as well. This is playing faster than Bakaj did back in Vanguard, which is a very fast-paced map, as we full well know. So then Slasher says, look, should we consider experimenting with a higher respawn delay, and, you know, basically making the game deliberately slowed down? It's an interesting idea. The thing is that some teams will be like, yeah, we should definitely do that. The teams that maybe have, you know, slower AR players, I do not think you're going to find the top teams, the OpTics, the FaZes, the Thieves of this world, necessarily agreeing to this kind of rule. You know, the argument would be that Slasher's a more traditional, slower pace, more strategic AR. I don't think Slasher's necessarily slow, but by modern COD standards, he's pretty slow, I guess. And, you know, here in this game with it playing fast right now, maybe he feels like like his team doesn't have the best chance. And I'm sure Slasher will say, oh, well, no, can still be very effective on this game. And I still like that Ravens team on paper. I think they can do pretty well this year. But Slasher might have been struggling to find his groove as an AR so far in this game, and, you know, potentially feels like this could be something to benefit him and the team. And that's always the thing with GAs. Slasher might have a point. Would the game play better with a higher respawn delay? Possibly. It's a reasonable thing to suggest. But of course, the implication is that he wants it changed because he wants his team to get better, which may also be a very good reason as to why this has been discussed. But let's talk about the KSUN tournaments, because it concludes in very interesting fashion a few hours ago. Wow, what an insanely late night tournament this one ended up to be, even for those based in the US. I mean, it's not often that we see COD tournaments US time end significantly after midnight, but yeah, wow, this was a pretty rough one for many, and they will hopefully have learned an awful lot from this going forward about the actual matches they're going to run in the CDL this season. But as Kenny says, after they took down Thieves earlier on, now, when we got to the grand finals, different story, and somewhat controversially so. But as Kenny says, we're looking pretty strong, the least amount of reps as a pro team. Now, it's, you know, Kenny's not necessarily wrong about this. We know that OpTic started their practice a bit later than some other teams. It's always interesting when OpTic say this, though, because it is a consistent trend that OpTic end up talking at the start of the season, oh, you know, we've got the least reps, so it's fine type thing. But I'm sure there'll some be OpTic fans saying, well, hang on a second, why don't you just grind harder, play more? How about, you know, you actually be level at least with other teams in terms of practice? Because we know for the last couple of seasons, OpTic have kind of, you know, not maybe had the best practice when the game was launched, and they've not done so well at the start of the season, and they've said, oh, well, you know, we've not got as many reps as, you know, other teams have. And that's fine to say in the second week of November. That's not so fine to say in January, right, when the season's getting underway. Now, of course, this most recent season, that never really affected OpTic because they went on to win anyway, Major 3 in the World Championship, and weren't too far away at the World Cup either. But that was interesting. And then we saw Scrappy take down Drazah again. This I thought was pretty funny from Thieves. Just two FaZe owners, KSUN, of course, on the left-hand side, and then Scrappy on the right-hand side, who has certainly had their number as of late. But the grand finals, therefore, after 100 Thieves pretty much just took down FaZe pretty comfortably in the end to make it to the finals. OpTic 20-7 on LAN, Scrap 3 versus Shotzzy and Dashy on LAN. Ghosty still looking for his first win against OpTic, so that's an interesting storyline as well, and that came to an end today. This series was obviously very interesting because there were so many delays getting to this point. Thieves were warmer on some level because they just played this previous series against FaZe. They, obviously, OpTic were sitting in the back basically playing zombies and stuff. Like, they were trying to find a way to bide the time while they were just having a rough one, right? And obviously everyone wants to win the tournament, but at the end of the day, if you can say there's a bit of an asterisk going on, you've got to say that this tournament has a bit of an asterisk over it, not just because it's so early in the season, but because of all the tech delays and all the problems. But look, the result still speaks for itself, and some of the stand-up players still speak for themselves. HyDra was absolutely on it. I feel like Nadeshot was watching this series thinking, wow, yes, I took a big pay cut to make this happen, but you know, it seems like it's going to pay off, right? Because, man, this guy HyDra is so good. It's actually just ridiculous. And he did it in the Search and Destroy. He was doing it in the hard points as well. Thieves relatively quickly here went up 3-0. They put themselves in prime position to take down OpTic. OpTic eventually got a map on the game 4, but in the end, Thieves closing out with a 6-3 protocol Search and Destroy. So these were the overall numbers. It was a best of 7 at the end, so they played 5 maps in the grand finals. I was thinking this one was going to last even longer than it eventually did. But yeah, impressive victory from Thieves, and Envoy, Ghosty, HyDra and Scrap all in the positive. HyDra and Scrappy probably with the 2 most impressive series by the numbers. And yeah, OpTic and Thieves in the grand finals, and it's Los Angeles Thieves that take the victory. And there's got to be something said about this, right, in terms of what we can expect from this team going into the new year. On paper, we talked about this roster being the best that anyone could possibly have done, and I agree with that assessment when the Thieves form their roster. We know what the upside is. They can win tournaments. They can take down the best teams of the game, as they've literally done today, or last night technically, but we don't know what the downside is going to be as well, like how things are going to go with these guys. It's a difficult question to answer, but I think that undoubtedly these guys have the potential to keep on doing this, and the fact that they've done it now, you know, obviously Scrappy and HyDra won that 2v2 tournament a few weeks ago, and then they turn up here to this one and they win it again with obviously their full roster in play. So $40,000 earns. This team goes to their first ever LAN tournament against OpTic, against FaZe, against Cloud9, and they get the win. Yes, in controversial circumstances, and it will take some, you know, analysis over the next few days to really dive into, okay, how much this tournament means, how much can we read into it, given the fact that the first event is going to be in, you know, just under 3 months' time, unfortunately. That's when the LAN season officially kicks off. This is, you know, the first LAN of the season, not with all the teams there in attendance, but, you know, we've got to give some credit to Scrap, because this guy has won more tournaments in the off-season than most players have in their whole career. I mean, he won the 2v2 off-season LAN that Kaysen ran a while ago. He won the first Flank Invitational. He won the Method Switcheroo. He won the TST Pro Sim. And now he's won the Kaysen LAN Showdown. Like, this guy's absolutely out of control of whatever team you give him. Of course, the OpTic guys, you know, they're not so mad about this result. If this was champs, sure, they'd be fuming. But, like, at the end of the day, it's an early season tournament, and I'm sure OpTic are pretty happy with how they played. They took down Thieves earlier on, and then in the grand finals, when arguably the cheese and the delays were getting as bad as they were really ever going to be, then, okay, OpTic didn't win. But then again, you might say, well, look, Thieves were the team with the mental fortitude, right? And I think that's one thing that Sender will have helped instill in their lineup and has helped being instilled in HyDra as well. I'm not going to lie, when I knew the series was going the distance and it was like super late at night, I thought Thieves were going to win because I felt like they would be the mentally stronger team in that scenario. Now, at the World Championship, when every team is going to do their utmost to win anyway, you know, I've got no doubt that OpTic can be equally mentally strong in that scenario. But I just thought in this specific case, for a tournament that doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things, I just thought Thieves would take it more seriously and, you know, want to win more. And it seems like that's eventually what they did. Whether Thieves are the better team than OpTic, don't know. I mean, right now it looks like it, based on this grand finals, but of course a couple of hours earlier OpTic took them down, so it's it seems to be pretty evenly matched between OpTic and Thieves. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see OpTic versus FaZe. That would have been exciting, but what we do know for sure is that Scrappy and seemingly now Thieves still have FaZe's number, so that's definitely a big one. But yeah, as Kenny was saying, right, I died to the final boss of the Easter egg before the grand finals, GG's. So you know, saying okay, whatever, it was not the best tournament on paper, and as Kaysen, or predecessor to Kaysen, like GG's everyone at the tournament. Like, you know, got some solid reps. Hacienda's going to bang, he says. So getting Hacienda back in the game he's excited for, because definitely the maps have been a point of frustration. So Nadeshot, after being up for so long at this point, he was, of course, buzzing about the result for his team. And I thought it was, you know, kind of nice from Kaysen to come up with the following and say, look, congrats to 100T. Sincerely apologise to everyone for the delays. It was out of my control, but I'm grateful for all of you, and a big shout out to the players for sticking through. And I was impressed by the players' kind of reaction as well. Like, they get it that these guys are trying to do a great thing for the scene, and, you know, unfortunately, I wouldn't say Treyarch have let us down. I mean, they have on some level with the maps and the spawns and stuff. They're just not great. The game, you know, I'm not even necessarily sure all of it's Treyarch's fault. There's so many integration things with the Warzone side and MW19 and, like, Infinity Ward and all this stuff that, and Activision and Microsoft, that's causing problems behind the scenes, that's causing some of these eventual technical delays. But, yeah, it puts us in a pretty interesting position going into the new season. But I think of all the potential results from this tournament, this is probably the most fascinating. Thieves coming in and, you know, beating FaZe, beating OpTic and winning the entire thing. It sets up the season very nicely indeed. So very much intro to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
They do not have those spawns.
Take your time, gentlemen. Take your time. Please, bro.
So wins another hard point. Now in the hands.
Dude, we fucking suck. Dude, what am I watching? There you go, Paco. There we go. 3 dead. 4 dead. All right. We don't suck at all, chat. You guys don't fucking believe, bro. For real. I don't understand why the fuck you guys just start tweaking when shit just goes wrong. I mean, they're pro players, bro. They're fine. It's all good, baby. Hell yeah. Woo. Never doubt. Never fucking doubt. That was easy.